Alright, we have this higher order function called track score, and this is going to be the example that we're using in this review. So, as a quick review, a higher order function is a function that can either take in a function or it can output a function. So let's say our input function is g, so I can input g, or I can output, let's say, q. So I can do one or the other, or I can do both if I want to, and that's a higher order function. So looking at track score, this function is, the entire thing is a definition of another function, update score, and then we return it. So to use this function, I'm just going to make a variable called my function, and then I'm going to set it equal to track score, and then we're going to call track score. So I'm going to put in some name, then some starting score. And now if we look at the variable my function and check what it's equal to, it's going to be equal to a version of the function update score. To use this, I'm just going to call it like any other function. So I'm going to say my function, I'm going to say parentheses, then just whatever the parameters are. So in this case, it's just new points. So we can put in some new points, and then that's how we can now use update score. Looking at the return value of update score, it's going to call track score, which then in return returns update score. So we're essentially going to create a new update score. So let's diagram this. Here I have a box that I'm going to use to represent track score. I'm going to go ahead and put update score inside of that, since in track score, that's where we're defining update score. And so let's go ahead and look at the inputs. We've got a name for track score. We also have a number for the start score. Now the output of track score, it's just going to be that function, update score. So the input is just going to be a number, then we're going to do some code to it, and then we're going to output some result, and then we're going to return a value, and we're going to be returning track score and whatever that returns. To illustrate this, we can think of update score as returning another update score. Another way we can illustrate this is by thinking of our top order function, track score, as a builder, and then update score being whatever's being built. So if I call track score, I'm essentially asking my builder to build update score for me. And then at the end of building update score, I'm going to ask my builder, track score, to build me another update score. Now we're going to go ahead and switch gears, and we're going to look at a Python interpreter and see what this will actually be outputting and how this works. So first we have this, our function, and we're going to go ahead and just start using it. So I'm just going to call my function team red, and I'm going to set it equal to track score. I'm going to pass in my team name, and then we'll start at base score of 0. Okay, so now I've called track score, and what does track score return? It returns update score right here. So if I were just to look at the variable team red, that's a function, and we can see this is called a memory address, and then we have a note about which function it is. So now let's go ahead and just try using it. So let's say my team scored 3 points. So we see this, and we output 3, and then we're showing what we just returned. That's what this line is. So if we look at this, note, we have this little memory address, and then we've got the name, So it's pretty much the same as this. Now, let's try doing, let's say we gained 2 points. Let's see, there we go, team red. Okay, so now, what we're expecting this to do is to say team red 5. But when we run this, you'll see that we actually just get a 2. So that's interesting. And so if I try maybe, let's say 7, what's that gonna do? We're gonna get another 7. And so this is very interesting behavior. It's kind of just outputting whatever number we give. So if we look at our function update score here in gray, you're gonna notice that track score is being returned on this line. And what does track score give? It gives a new update score function with a new score. And so the reason that team red, when we did 3, it just said 3. And then when we said team red 2, it just gave us another 2 instead of adding it. It's because it's using the old team red function that I created at the very beginning with base of 0. And so it's saying 0 plus new value 3. And then, since the function's the old one, it's going to do that again. It's going to say 0 plus then whatever the next thing is. So 2. So now it's 2. Or it's going to say 0 and then 7, and it'll be 7. So we'll never actually get this new score. So the way we do that is by simply reassigning our function team red to be whatever the result of team red is. So we have team red, and then we're gonna give it, let's say we earned 3 points. So now if we notice, if we look at this just output team red 3 for us. Now it didn't give us the long function line because we're actually saving the return value, and so it doesn't need, so the interpreter's not gonna show us that because we're putting it somewhere. And since we before weren't saving that return value, that's why it was telling us what it is. So now though, we've saved team red. So now team red is actually a new update score function with our new score, which is 3 because 0 plus 3 equals 3. So if I do this again, let's go ahead and do 2 again. Try that out. So now we have team red and we have 5 points. And now, and it gave us 5 because when we called team red print and then with 2 points, that team red function, instead of a start score of 0, its start score is now this new score that we had last time, 3. So it did 3 plus 2 instead. So if let's do this one more time. And then let's go ahead and 1. So if you 1, we get a 6. Because our team red calling 1 is now using the new score of 5. Because we made a new update function by saving that value. So if I were to sort of go back to the old way that I was doing it, where we weren't returning anything new values, let's add 2 to this. There we go, 2 red. So now we have 8. So that still kind of worked. Now if I try doing, let's say 1, so now I should get a 9. It's actually going to give us 7. And it's giving us 7 because the last time we saved team red was when our base was 6. So here we have team red passing into 2. It's going to give us an 8. But then that value, that new value 8, isn't being saved anywhere. we're not keeping it. And so with team red, when it adds 1, it's going to use the old version of that function in which we use 6 as the base. So that's why we get 7, because 6 plus 1 equals 7. So if I did this again, and then let's say I did 3, this is going to give us a 9, because 6 plus 3 equals 9. So let's go ahead and just fix this. And then let's go ahead and let's see, I did 2 first. So now we can save that 8. And then let's go ahead and save that 1, so that way I get that 9. And then let's do it again, and let's get that 3. And now my score has been updated properly. And that's the review. So thanks for watching, and good luck.